Welcome to Eat Sleep Nerd, a podcast where you can check out, go AFK, and relax with us as we discuss all things nerd. Comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and anything else that gets geeks more worked up than Grogu in hyperspace.
In this episode, it's the Pedro Pascal extravaganza part 2. We review The Mandalorian Season 3 Episode 2 and HBO's The Last of Us Episode 9 in the entirety of Season 1. Plus, we round things up by checking in with the nerdy news to discuss Jon Bernthal returning as the Punisher in Daredevil Born Again, a big Lucasfilm Star Wars shakeup, a new release date for Starfield, and a Superman Legacy director rumor. Welcome to episode number 48. I am your dorky DJ, Corey Winter, and as always, I am joined by my nerdy brother, Josh Winter, and our geeky friends, Jason Summer and Christian James.
Yo.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Hey.
I was trying to make up a sound because I was trying to be
I know,
consistent.
I was waiting for it.
We were all like, with bated breath, what shall he do?
He just screams.
It's like the screaming goat.
The only good part of Thor: Love and Thunder.
You were right.
Oh, no. I mean, true. But
I said that was my favorite part.
Yeah, even the love part was just. Are they in love?
No.
Are we sure?
No.
I was actually
Did we
referring
watch
to
movie?
it's actually referring to the hammer.
Right.
Mm, yeah.
Because in case you forgot, that was an actual subplot in a
Right,
Marvel
yes.
movie.
And a jealous Stormbreaker.
I will say, Stormbreaker being jealous was actually pretty funny. I like that.
But
part, too.
still, it was funny, but still misplaced.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I could have done without it.
Yeah.
More
I mean, we could have
slashing.
done without that entire movie, but
It's true.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
but
anyway, we're on a time
How's everybody
crunch
doing?
today.
yeah, how's everybody doing? What are we doing?
I'm doing okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. How are you guys
Okay.
doing?
I mean, about the same.
We're doing a little test run for our video podcast. So we're 2 episodes out from being faces on YouTube. So we're doing a little test run today, and
It's been a goal of mine since I was a young man to be a face on YouTube.
Even before YouTube was a thing,
Yes.
he knew. Right.
I could feel it.
Right.
So I want to kick off our What We're Geeking Out On segment with a little kind of newsy thing, but it's just a more general discussion about the Oscars.
Boo.
Because they happened last night as of this recording, and some fun things that we were cheering for did in fact win. So the big one was Everything Everywhere All at Once, just kind of won everything.
Which we liked before it was cool, by the way.
Right.
Well, true.
Episode 4, we called it, by the way. Our podcast, episode 4. I went back and I'm like, when did we talk
Nice.
about this? We called it. We truly did.
That was one. Wow, I didn't remember it was being that long ago.
Like a year ago.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was one of our best movies of 2022. I think it actually finished like 5th place. I'm thinking back, I'm not sure why I did not put it in my top 5, but it is what it is at this point. So it is
Because you were wrong.
It obviously won Best Picture. It won 3 of the major acting awards, won several other things. It is the first sci-fi movie to win Best Picture at the Oscars.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
It
cool.
is the first film to win Best Picture in 3 acting awards. It is the 3rd film ever to win 3 acting awards. Ki Hae Kwan won Best Supporting Actor. Jamie Lee Curtis won Best Supporting Actress.
Boo.
And Michelle... Whoa!
Should have been Angela Bassett.
Angela Bassett all the way.
Okay, that's fair.
Should have been Angela
That's
Bassett.
fair. And then Michelle Yeoh won Best Actress.
So that's the thing I don't like about the Oscars sometimes. Is sometimes I feel like we just start giving it to the favorite movie. Like Everything Everywhere All at Once had like, what was it? 7 nominations, 8 nominations, something like that. So I feel like when a movie is nominated across multiple categories like that, there's almost an unfair bias to give it to that one because it was nominated for everything. So clearly it's the best one. You get what I mean? Like, I love Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis is awesome.
Yeah.
Best actress, though? Really? For
Especially
Everything Everywhere
since
All at Once?
they played the scene from Black Panther after Shuri gets captured and she has that speech.
Yeah.
If you have never seen that movie and then you saw that at the Oscars, you're like, excuse me? That one? Jamie Lee Curtis? Are you sure?
I don't know. I'm fine with it, but I understand the controversy there. Michelle Yeoh won Best Actress. That's awesome. A24 is the first ever production company to win all 6 top awards at the Oscars, because also they won for Best Actor. Brandon Fraser won Best Actor.
You did call that. You called that one.
He earned it. And he was crying the entire speech, and it was heartbreaking. I felt so bad, but also good for him.
Anyone else notice his hair is coming back? Think he's putting some of the newfound paychecks into his hair,
or he's less stressed now. So it's just,
or it's a wig.
He's just healthier now. Also, saying. Not Too from RRR won Best Original Song, and they performed it live, and it was awesome.
Right, which was fun to watch.
And it just reminded me how upset I was that it did not get any other nominations. Like, come on.
Yeah. Like nothing else? Not even Best Foreign Film?
Yeah. Like, how's that? Yeah, exactly. Best Foreign Film. Not even a nomination.
Like,
come on.
That category was basically invented for, this was a good film, but we know it didn't jive with our audience.
Yeah.
You know, I'm wondering if this was a good entry for Bollywood and Tollywood and Indian movies for the Oscars. It's just kind of, maybe they just didn't have some sort of or enough awareness in the Academy about Indian movies, and maybe this was a really good eye opener, and that maybe we'll see more of those.
Yeah. Then my last little bullet point that is just in the pop culture realm of things for the Oscars. Ruth E. Carter was the first Black woman to win 2 Oscars. She won for her work as the best costume designer on both Black Panther films. So
cool.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a pretty fun.
That's excellent.
Pretty fun stuff. Pretty good showing for pop culture things from things we've been covering on this podcast at the Oscars. So that's pretty awesome. But
the Batman didn't win a damn thing.
It did not.
That's upsetting. And there were a few things it was snubbed for that it should have legitimately been nominated for, like Best Cinematography.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Like, you want to talk about a movie that just looked amazing from start to finish? The Batman.
Yeah. I agree with
I would say that upside down car shot.
Everything about
it.
That was like a good contender for like an example of why it should have at least been seriously considered.
Yeah. Like it's I don't know. We're getting better, but there's still, I think, a subconscious tendency to ignore pop culture movies.
Yeah.
When it comes time for war seasons, which is a shame because especially in technical categories, they're usually the ones that do the best.
Yeah.
Cinematography, costume design, sound editing. Anyway, just saying, do better, Oscars.
Yeah.
Do
so
better.
real quick, I have to say I was not surprised with the editing for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Because that was bonkers.
Yeah.
That the visuals on that were absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. I would have been surprised if they didn't win on that part.
Well, that movie would have fallen apart if the editing hadn't been perfect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everything had to be timed just right.
Apparently, one of the directors of that movie is actually from Birmingham, which I did not know. So that's pretty
dope.
cool. Yeah. Huh. And actually, the editor, since you guys are talking about it, the editor that won for best editing for that movie, it was only his second ever film.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. So high five.
He put his whole foot in that.
Yeah. And for all of those who are listening around the world, it's Birmingham, Alabama.
Yes.
By the way.
Yes.
That's,
Not
yes. As there are other Birminghams.
Birmingham.
Right.
England.
Birmingham.
Right. Or
Anyway,
I'm sure there are other Birminghams
So
in
I know
the United States.
I know, just to move us along here, Christian, you wanted to talk about something
Yes.
in your geeking out on section.
Yes.
What is it?
Megan.
So he's finally seen Megan.
I finally saw Megan. Really wanted to see it. And I'm going to put it out there. If you're a fan of Chucky, Megan is right up there.
That's not surprising to me.
Yeah. It's just as campy. I mean, it's a toy attacking people. But she's pretty much a cyborg.
Yeah.
Because the whole premise is that this woman has created this toy for her toy company that, you have to pair it to the child. So it's programmed to do anything to make the child feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And that is take out people that have wronged her.
Yeah.
They didn't think about that while creating this programming. But it's kind of a wild ride. It's like, just like in any other movie, how children are just like really creepy, but make that child a robot that's strong as hell.
Now it's creepy and there's an uncanny valley.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just all the way around. Because there's a scene where the girl is going to school, but it's like a weird rich people school where they're like doing outside activities.
Yeah.
And so they're in the woods. And there's this bully, you know, he picks on the little girl. And Megan's just sitting on the toy table and just like, I see you. It's fine. We'll chat later. And the bully ends up chasing the little girl into the woods, like, and then like takes Megan into the woods to just mess with her. And at first, she's just acting like a doll until she starts to choke him out and then rip his ear off.
Oh God,
Nice.
But then ends up chasing him. He falls down a hill, gets hit by a car. And the police are like, that's weird. And then, you know, the lady also has a neighbor that has a dog that's like kind of crazy. And it runs on the other side of the fence all the time. It's just like, keep your dog on the other side of the fence. So Megan's just like, all right, take care of that. Yanks the dog in the middle of the night and ends up killing the old woman with like a pressure washer.
Oh, what?
Like to the face.
Oh God, that actually kill you? Is that scientifically proven? Can that kill you?
I mean, they'll take apart a fence if you're not careful. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the police show up to the woman's house and are just like, it's weird that you've been at the scene of these two crimes in the past few days. Do you have anything you want to tell us? He's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. But it's like, it's not as campy, I would say, as Chucky, but there's still like that weird underlying mystery from the other characters that it's like, it's unclear what's really happening, but you're like, that crazy little doll you got in the house. But it was a fun ride the entire time. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Okay.
I might do that this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get together and watch Megan? I mean, obviously not Jason because he sucks and he's too far away. But can all three of us watch?
Can we?
Wow, I like how you gave like a character presentation right there, as well as something that's just you could just say, oh, he's just 9 hours away, but then you're like, oh, and he sucks.
I'm just kidding. You can join.
No, you're not. No, move on.
I mean, it's not like you ended up there on accident.
You chose this.
I see you're still bitter.
A little bit. All right. Do you two have anything you want to geek out on before we move into the news?
I watched the third volume of Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix.
Classic.
Which the one thing that I'm really disappointed with, I was looking at this last night. The first season had 18 episodes.
Yeah, they've gotten progressively smaller.
Right. There was only like 9 episodes or like 8 or something like that. And they were very short in season 3. But and they've kind of gotten away from the robot thing more. But also they've started embracing science fiction conceptualization and, possibilities, which is kind of trippy. There was one episode where an astronaut was on the moon Io and was going on some sort of weird brain trip while she was trying to survive. And it was one of those where you're wondering what actually happened. And it could have been 2 possibilities at the end, and either one of them could have been correct. So that was very trippy. There were a couple in there that were, anyway, I recommend it. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. It's definitely TVMA. But if you like weird animation and interesting concepts, I highly recommend it.
Every once in a while, it shatters your soul too.
Oh, I love those types of TV shows. I'm in.
Like it's always weird and a little sinister, but like every once in a while, something that just happens that at the end you're just like, I need a second before we watch the next one.
Yeah, I love hurting my own feelings with media.
Yeah. There's the last one is called Jibaru, and it's about a knight who's deaf playing against a siren, kind of very similar to Lady of the Lake, but darker. The whole concept is darker, and there's no dialogue, but the entire episode is just enrapturing. and it's very, very surreal. But it actually looks the most realistic out of all the animation that they had for this volume. So anyway, definitely worth a look.
All right, we I think have 4 stories we need to talk about. The first one is the Daredevil television series coming to Disney Plus. We've had a couple of updates on it this past week, with the first one being a Corey is right moment. Just saying, Jon Bernthal, or Barenthal, depending on how you pronounce it, is officially returning as the Punisher in Daredevil: Born Again.
Ooh, ooh.
Are you right, or more than that was just a duh?
I predicted that. So there was a discussion on this podcast several months ago where we wondered if he would actually ever come back, because the Punisher is a very controversial character nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, he's pretty popular. They're going to bring him back. And they are. So, whoop, whoop. Called it. Are we excited about this?
Yes.
Well, I'm
trying to stoke some conversation. Come on.
I'm excited about them bringing the character back, but I've also been reading a lot of articles where they're really, I'm going to call it Disneyfying the series. So I wonder how much of the spirit of the Daredevil series that we loved, that wanted to get this moved over, is going to be there. And I'm again now at a point where I'm not cautiously optimistic anymore. I'm ready to be disappointed with the series.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I was on the same page. I thought we had all just assumed that at this point that ship had sailed.
No, I think I was holding on, but I don't see, like, the Punisher not only is a controversial character recently, but he's always been one because of the level of violence that's involved in his comics and stories, and that's kind of what makes his character unique opposed to other characters. And now I just don't see how they're going to continue that type of characterization with all the articles and rumors that we're hearing about the show. So
yeah, so
I don't know.
I do want to read a couple of things from this Hollywood Reporter article. So the first one, just Jon Bernthal is returning to his most punishing role. The actor will reprise Frank Castle, a.k.a. anti-hero The Punisher in Marvel Studios' Daredevil: Born Again for Disney Plus, sources tell the Hollywood Reporter. But the second thing that is a big takeaway from this article, a little bit further down, it says other actors from the Netflix Daredevil series are not expected to return. Deborah Ann Wall, and Eldon Henson, who played classic supporting characters Karen Page and Foggy Nelson, respectively, are not on the roll call for the Marvel series. It is also unclear whether these characters will be recast or excised from the story. So I'm having to read through my microphone. But yeah, so those two pretty big characters are not returning.
I think they also recast Vanessa.
Yes, man, you're getting ahead of me, man.
I was like, she and Vincent D'Onofrio were excellent together in their roles.
Yes.
Yes. And so since you've already brought it up, there's another Hollywood Reporter article. Mm-hmm. So 2 things from this one. Michael Cuesta?
Sure.
The director behind the pilots for such shows as Dexter and Homeland is helming the first episode of Daredevil: Born Again. So that's a pretty big thing. But also, this article mentions that Sandrine Holt has been cast, and she is playing Vanessa Fisk, which is not the original actress to play her in the Netflix Daredevil series. So this is actually confirming that they are recasting characters.
Because it's a different universe.
Yes, but it's also using some of the same actors playing the same characters.
Because it's a different universe.
So this just kind of goes back to are Foggy and what's her name going to be in there just as different actors?
I mean, probably,
yeah.
I'm thinking, and we mentioned this before when we were talking about the DCU reboot. I almost think that Hollywood is getting to the point where we're just not going to try to over explain this too much. This is what we're doing. Just shut up and take it. I think it's the geeks and the nerds who are just well, hold on, that doesn't make sense because of this and this and this and this and this. We don't care. Shut up. This is going to be a different universe. We're using the same characters, the same actors that played the main characters because you guys would pitch a fit if we didn't. Everything else we're going to do the way we want to do it.
Yeah, for me, the speculation and the rumors, I'm just okay, I'm over people trying to guess what's going to happen. I just want to see it.
Yeah.
Just give it to me, and I'll rate it
Right.
at that point.
Yeah.
And I don't really care like what everybody else thinks about it or what's going to happen. I just want to see it.
Yeah.
See it. Yeah.
I mean, it's again, I think at this point it's safe to say this is a different universe. This is a different version of these characters. I think She-Hulk confirmed that with Daredevil, right? But I mean, that can open the door for some fun things too. Because, for example, as awesome as the Daredevil series was, he was never that acrobatic in the Daredevil series. He was tough and he could throw hands, but he was not overly acrobatic. In the comics, Daredevil was very acrobatic, like up there with Spider-Man and stuff like that. We got to see that in She-Hulk. We never really got to see that in Daredevil.
Yeah.
Definitely not to that extent. Fisk was definitely strong in his shows, but he was never super strong. He was in Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, they're giving us slightly more faithful comic book adaptations. We're just going to have to accept it's not the same universe.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm actually extra excited for the Punisher, because there is a way to take that character and make it more PG-13-ish without feeling like that's what you're doing. Because, for example, in the Netflix universe, with the exception of one or two characters, most of their threats were street level people. Like, it was real people that were getting shot up and torn up and blown up and mutilated and stuff like that. In the MCU, it's always aliens or robots or something like that. Okay, cool. Punisher can go ham on those dudes and no one's going to care. Moms will not freak out because the Punisher is blowing up robots, right? It also means you can start giving the Punisher more ridiculous armaments, like laser rifles and Gatling guns and things like that, because, again, he's not using them on people. And we're okay with violence towards other things, just not people. So I don't know.
I
like,
concede some valid points there.
So, like,
hold on.
How
you get what I'm saying? Just by changing the setting, you can make the Punisher less offensive.
Yeah.
He stays the same. And this is like a deep rooted hope that's deep in my soul. There is a storyline in the comics where the Punisher gets an Iron Man suit and goes ham.
Oh, what?
It's the Iron Punisher. This needs to happen because it's too ridiculous to not happen. So, anywho, I think this could be cool if they do it right. Even if they don't go super dark and mature. Again, just by changing who he's fighting, you can leave this Punisher basically as the same he was.
And I kind of think, like, if you guys might disagree, but from what we got from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the suggested violence, like, you never saw what's his face slam that shield into that guy's chest,
But you knew he did it.
but you knew he did it.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can actually be more shocking.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was wondering why that guy died.
They never explained that.
Yeah.
I didn't see him die. He died off screen, so I thought he was going to come back.
Yeah, so the ultra offended crowd that would not want their child to see that kind of thing, I feel that would fit in really well into this show. Because you still have the combat from Daredevil, the guns ablazing from Punisher, but if it's more suggested,
yeah,
you still have all those elements without the gore.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be a good show. It might not be the same, but I think it's going to have close to the same feel to where it will still attract the same audience from the old show. I think it's going to be fine.
As long as the color palette is like those just dark tones.
Yeah, that color palette is going to make a big difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's like very colorful, like Love and Thunder, then no, not with it.
Hyper saturated.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. But also, one last bullet point is that Daredevil and Kingpin are confirmed to be key figures in the upcoming Echo series, which is going to be setting the stage for the Daredevil Born Again series. So Echo, I believe, is still coming out this year.
Not to be that
I was
guy.
wondering about that.
Don't
That's
care
good.
about it.
Same.
What?
Don't care about it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
To it.
Like, she was cool in Hawkeye.
Was she even that
I'm
cool
good.
in Hawkeye?
Yes.
Yeah, she was terrifying.
Yeah.
Wow.
She had
I was
one leg.
unimpressed.
Wow.
She had one leg, and she knew how to use it.
Wow, what? She was also deaf.
Yeah, and deaf. Yeah.
All right, moving on to our next story. Let's move into some Lucasfilm Star Wars stuff. So Lucasfilm is going through a big Star Wars shakeup. So this story is coming from Variety. Well, I'm just going to try and summarize this. So basically, a bunch of projects have been shelved, including Kevin Feige's Star Wars film and Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron film. This article also mentions that Taika Waititi's Star Wars film is probably the only one that's actually still in the works, and he is likely going to have a starring role in it, similar to his standout role as the imaginary Adolf Hitler in the Oscar-winning 2019 feature Jojo Rabbit.
Does that mean we're getting Space Hitler?
No, it's just saying like he's... that's not the takeaway. No,
that was misleading.
Isn't Space Hitler Darth Vader?
No, it's just they were saying like that's the last time he really had like a starring role. He's always been like a side character, but they're thinking if his film actually goes into production, he will have the starring role in it for some reason. But yes, so Taika Waititi's film is likely the only Star Wars film that's actually still in development. Everything else has been shelved, despite still having a 2025 release window set for a Star Wars film 2 years from now.
They need to stop doing that.
Yeah, right.
Quit setting the release date and then being like, we'll figure out a movie to release. Like, no, stop it. Stop it.
Doing a little math, 7 Star Wars films have been announced to be in development since 2019, but not a single one has actually been greenlit.
Thank God.
So Josh is saying this as a good thing.
It is.
A lot of people
1,000%.
are freaking out.
Yeah, there's been a really oversaturation of Star Wars.
Yeah, so like Star Wars is working on the small screen. Leave it alone. Don't feel like you have to do a movie because it's time to do another movie. Tell the movie when you're ready to tell a story. It's the problem we had with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan, everyone got so hyped about, and then we watched it and realized they didn't really have a story to tell.
Yeah.
They had an idea for a fight scene and needed to craft 6 episodes to lead up to it. And it felt like it the entire time. Like, if you don't have a story to tell, then don't try to tell a story. Also, Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron, rather, I don't think that was ever anything more than a pitch. And they said yes because she had just done Wonder Woman. We're acting like it's been canceled. It was never in production. I don't think they ever even had a script. Like, it was just an idea for a movie. And it wasn't even that original an idea. Hey, it's a movie about the people in the movie that you've already seen. So...
Also, they had several video games to work off of as well. Correct.
And so, like... But the point is, we already know that story. I don't need a movie of that. And so...
Now, hang on. Now, saying that, we just watched 9 episodes of Last of Us, and we all knew that story, too.
Yeah, that's different, though. That was really good. No,
to your
but
point.
You get what I mean, though. Like it's because Lucasfilm has this weird fascination with sticking to the same 30 years of history in a story that takes place thousands of years ago in a galaxy super far away. You can make up infinite history. There's so many things you could do, but we want to keep focusing on the same 2 families over and over and over and over and over again. And now they're just like, well, crap, we can't think of anything else to do because you're still looking at the same friggin' 30 years of history.
Like how he said make up history. Like,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's you could do anything. And instead, we're just terrified to leave the same 4 people that George Lucas invented 50 years ago. And even the part of Star Wars that's currently working is still taking place right there.
It's like, what, 6 years after Return of the Jedi?
There. And let's be real, the only reason the Mandalorian, things like that, are even working so well is because it's made by the same dudes who made all the cartoons that all of these characters are coming from, with the exception of Mando.
And Grogu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they also don't mind having a short episode if there isn't, a 50-minute story to tell.
Correct.
If it's a 30-minute story, it's a 30-minute episode.
Yeah. So really, all they've done is just leveled up the products that they've already made. And don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. Mandalorian's great. But that's the only reason the only part that's working has worked. As soon as they tried to pull another legacy character, Boba Fett, they didn't know what to do with him. So I don't know. Just they need to just stop Star Warsing for like 5 years and figure out what they want to do, and then move forward.
Well, speaking of stopping Star Warsing, Ahsoka, the series, is aiming for a late summer 2023 release.
No, but again, though, that's the same dudes that are doing well. They need to leave Favreau and Filoni alone. Just let them do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, so when this article came out from Variety, there were an influx of calls from fans and critics to finally give the axe to Kathleen Kennedy and give it to Favreau and Filoni.
So we talked about this last time. There's that big rumor that she's the reason Boba Fett and season 2 of Mandalorian was a little weird. It was her basically meddling. And again, the big rumor is there's two. A, as soon as she did all of that with Book of Boba Fett and stuff, Jon Favreau threatened to leave.
Yeah.
And he said, the only way I'll stay is if she leaves me alone when I'm making season 3. And apparently they gave him that. The second rumor is that as soon as Indy 5 hits screens and the initial release period is gone through, you're going to hear that Kathleen Kennedy has been fired. And they're basically just letting her stay until that her last big movie hits the screens.
Yeah.
Because it would be weird to fire her right before that.
All right, Corey, type that in the Google Docs. Josh said.
Yeah. Like both of those rumors have just enough credibility that I would not be surprised. I'm thinking middle of summer, we're going to hear that Kathleen Kennedy has been let go.
All right.
And it will be a good day for Star Wars.
Or she stepped down. One of the two.
Yeah, or she stepped down, like she's retiring, or whatever.
It's going to be retiring. Yep.
Yeah. Because you got to remember, like, she goes way back with Lucasfilm. Like, long before she ran Lucasfilm, she was a producer. She was like, I'm talking like original Indiana Jones movies and stuff like that. Like, she goes way back.
Old.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But she will go down in history as the person who ruined Star Wars.
Yeah.
So you win some, you lose a bunch. Like,
all right, let's move into our next story. This is a small one. Just Starfield, the upcoming video game, will launch officially on September 6th, and fans will get an in-depth look at the game before then at Bethesda's Starfield Direct on June 11th.
I'm still feeling like this is going to be a dumpster fire.
I'm looking forward to it. Have you watched the release date trailer for it that came out last week?
No.
I'll share a link to it in the show notes. It looks really good. It looks really good.
Okay, but I mean that's the point of a trailer, though. Is to show you the really good parts.
It's gonna be awesome. I'm
a big Bethesda fanboy. I want it to be good, but just I've got this nagging feeling in the back of my gut.
So yeah, Starfield coming out this fall officially. I think that's a pretty solid date. I don't think it's going to get delayed anymore. They've had enough delays at this point, so yay!
And then maybe they'll start on Elder Scrolls 6.
But they've already started on it.
Have they?
Yes.
They did a trailer 8 years ago.
They've started on it. It's not ready yet.
Elder Scrolls 6, the Skyrim 5 download version 22.
When did Josh become such a grumpy old geek? Like, he's just grumpy about everything.
Now.
Everything's trash and I hate everybody.
One more story.
You didn't drink your Ovaltine.
I didn't.
Like, gosh. Anyway, one more story. So Rocksteady's Suicide Squad killed.
Oh, it's going to be trash. It's going to be so bad.
Appears to be facing another delay.
You're so upbeat today, Josh.
He's always like this. So, according to, let me read that thing. According to a report from Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, Warner Brothers has delayed the game from its May 26th release date. So again, this is not official, but this is insider reports are saying it has been delayed yet again. This comes after fan backlash from the gameplay shown in Sony's most recent State of Play. However, Jason Schreier said delays like this are mainly for polish rather than overhauling the gameplay elements fans are not fond of in last month's reveal. But further updates came out, this time from GameSpot and Giant Bomb. Jeff Grubb, a GameSpot sister site Giant Bomb reporter, has stated on a recent podcast that he's gotten word from Suicide Squad insiders that the game is getting pushed out of this year entirely and is likely coming in 2024. And if that's the case, that likely hints that they are taking the fan backlash pretty seriously and are reworking entire elements of the game.
Yeah, because no one wanted a dumpster fire.
That's a lot of polish.
That's a lot of polish. Yes.
We polished it so hard, it's a completely different thing than when you last saw it.
It's a shinier turd.
Like it's gotten to the point where the backlash is so intense that you can't cancel it because then you would just lose millions of dollars on development. But it's not in a state to where they can release it and make actually good money off of it. It's like they have to retool it at this point.
Like, based on what we saw, I have zero desire to play it.
Yeah.
And that's apparently a very widespread feeling.
Yeah.
Like, it no longer resembles the games from your studio that I loved.
Yeah.
So I'm good. Thanks.
See, there was already a video game series out which allows you to play all sorts of different characters as villain or hero versions of themselves, alternate versions of themselves, with a pretty good storyline. And that would be Injustice. And they should have just been working on an Injustice 3, because that's what everybody's waiting on with that kind of
Or
stuff.
just a Batman Arkham style game with different characters.
Correct.
How about that? Because obviously that game worked just fine.
Yeah. Either way, we've got two DC video game series that are working pretty well.
It is actually weird that we haven't gotten an update for an Injustice 3.
Yeah.
Because I like the Injustice games. Those were
they were really good, and good stories too.
But yeah, so no. This is one that I hope is true. I hope it's getting pushed like a year.
Yeah.
And they're going to actually make the game that we hoped they were making.
Yeah. I do want to hit one rumor, because Jason shared this and then it actually started kind of blow up.
But they still haven't confirmed it. Yeah.
So a Collider article that I'm reading from is saying a DC Studios writer, Tom King, recently mentioned in an interview on the YouTube channel Comic Pop Returns. That video is actually no longer available, so you can actually not go and find the video that this is referencing. But he mentioned in this interview that, where does it say? He casually mentioned that not only is James Gunn the co-head of the studio writing the movie, he will also be in charge of directing duties for the project. So James Gunn could potentially be the director of Superman Legacy, but it has also not been confirmed. So,
but at the same time, they took down the video that said that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, this was just kind of assumed. I just, like, this is not a big surprise to me.
Yeah, you'd figure that'd be kind of his baby.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's responsible for setting up the Bible, right? For setting up the universe. I just kind of figured
Creature Comforts was his baby.
Creature Comforts?
What is it called again? Creature Squad?
Creature
Commandos? Yeah.
That sounds like a brand of PJs. Creature Comforts.
Made by Oshkosh Bagosh.
Well, like when he originally announced the slate, he was like, I'm writing it, but I'm not going to direct it.
Well, he said, I don't know if I'm going to direct it. Which to me, again, like, to me, this is just, it's weird that we're acting like it's a secret. I
basically shared it because we finally had a director. I was not surprised.
It's not official,
though. Surprised, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not official, but at the same time, they're going out of their way to bury the talk. Like,
But why would they bury it?
I don't know. I mean, why wouldn't you just put out a thing saying, no, he's not the director. We haven't chosen the director yet.
Well, why wouldn't they put out a thing saying he is directing it?
That's my point. Is the secrecy?
There's so many things.
The secrecy just makes no sense at this point.
Yeah.
Like, if you know who it is, say you know who it is. If you don't, say you don't. Like, it's not that deep.
Yeah, why is that always a secret? Like, we don't really care.
Why is anything in Hollywood a secret? It really doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Just tell us what you're doing.
The only thing that should be a secret is the plot.
Yeah.
Just because I want to enjoy it when I go to see it.
Right.
But like this is not, who they've chosen to be Superman. Like, that'll be huge friggin' news, and you'd probably want to make an actual like announcement out of it. To me, it would be weird if James Gunn didn't direct this movie.
Yeah.
Like, it would actually be more surprising to me to find out someone else was directing it.
Yeah, especially like to try to be an outsider to direct James Gunn's like script.
Well, and like, again, this is going to set up everything. It's going to be the first big movie in his new universe. So even if he's not directing it, he's still going to have to be in constant communication. Exactly. At what point is it just easier to do it yourself?
Yeah.
And it's not like he's not good at it. He's a great director.
Are we ready for a James Gunn style Superman film? He has a very unique style. I
also feel like he could tone it down, though.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he has a very unique style. I think he's also aware of his very unique style. And so it's not like he just thinks that's the only way to make a movie. So,
like, yeah, it'd be cool to have a visually stunning Superman movie, but I want more Superman action.
I have a feeling that as avant-garde as he is in his approach to his productions and to his works, he's also not tone deaf.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think you'll have a James Gunn style, but it's not gonna be the craziness that we've been used to in the last couple movies that he's had.
And don't forget, some of the most poignant moments in comics have been in his movies. Like he's like the first thing you think of is the wildness and the raunchiness and the incredible music selections. But I mean, do you really want to? Yeah. But I mean, he also made me care about a character called Polka Dot Man.
I forgot about
Sure.
that. Yeah.
You know I'm gonna cry over Rocket in Volume 3.
I just hope it doesn't happen.
Like, I mean, you get what I'm saying? Like, he is capable of like, he made us care about Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Like, he gave Peacemaker an arc that worked.
That was surprising. Okay. Yeah. That is really a testament to his directing and writing.
So if you can do that with a dumbass character, imagine what you could do with the granddaddy of all superheroes.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
Side note, that main song from Peacemaker is on my workout playlist.
There it is.
It's on my
It's a solid
everything
one.
playlist.
Yeah.
It
I wake up
opens every
morning.
playlist.
Oh yeah, the ending song from Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when they're fighting Ego,
Yes.
the Wham Bam thing.
It's on everything. Yeah.
I downloaded that directly there afterwards. I was like, this is so catchy.
All right, let's get into our spoiler review section, where we are going to be talking about The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 2, Chapter 18, The Minds of Mandalore, and The Last of Us, Episode 9, Look for the Light, as well as the entirety of Season 1. So we're going to start with The Mandalorian, Chapter 18, The Minds of Mandalore. Sum it up for me.
Cool. Okay. So, well, no, it's one of those things where, like, plot wise, necessarily not a lot happened, but a lot happened. So Mando, old Din, is on his way to go bathe in the waters in the mines and restore his valor and his honor. And he was going to try to get a new memory board for his IG droid, and that was the only weird part. They kind of abandoned that plot point really quick.
Yeah, right?
Like, he doesn't strike me as someone who just gives up, but everyone's just like, no, you can't get one of those. And he's just kind of like, okay.
Yeah, I found that very weird, but we'll come back to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so he gets an alternate droid, goes down, tells Bo-Katan one more time that he's going to head down there. She's still kind of grumpy and sad and depressed, which makes me sad. Goes down, gets captured by some sort of droid creature or a creature in a
knockoff
droid?
General Grievous.
Yeah, like that's actually what it reminded me of. Was very Grievous-y.
Yeah.
Grogu goes back, gets Bo. Bo comes down, rescues him again. Does it twice in one episode, actually.
That's
and
true.
and then we got to see the Mythosaur
That's what that was. Okay.
right at the end.
Is it?
I mean, it is.
No.
It is.
It's
The internet is
Factually-
stupid.
factually, it is. So no, I mean, it a lot of cool things got to happen. We actually got to see Mandalore. This is the first time in Star Wars history where you've actually seen Mandalore.
Oh.
With the exception of the cartoon, but I mean, that's a little different. This is the first live action rendition of Mandalore. And Mandalore is really cool because it has a history as old as Star Wars itself. Like, it goes all the way back to the Old Republic, and the planet has a very long history, which we could almost do an entire episode about. But in its current state, it has been glassed by the Empire. Because the Empire sadly didn't have a Death Star at the time. They have a hard time holding on to those. And so they just did an orbital bombardment and literally turned the entire surface of the planet into glass. And it was fascinating. It was awesome. It was really, really, really cool. I kind of hope they spend more of the season there, because that's something that you could spend a lot of time on, and I just don't know if we're going to get to.
So I'm going to go back to what you were saying before about the droid storyline. Why did they bring that up, that plot point about him repairing the droid in episode 1, if it's just going to abandon that in that episode 2?
Yeah, it felt weird to me.
Yeah.
So the only thing I can think of is we are going to see the IG droid again. it just won't be right now for this. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think later on, maybe he'll find the piece or find out that he can get the piece or something like that and just decide to go ahead and finish it since he already started.
Yeah.
And that's how we get our droid back.
That's how we get the droid back.
I think they were trying to put in a reason for him to go and talk to Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed again. Because honestly, based off of the abilities that the Mandalorian has in the episode that we just watched, the droid was almost pointless.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was
like, he didn't even like why aren't there atmospheric readers on ships? First of all,
and he can pressure seal his helmet.
Exactly, and that was the other point.
There was no point.
Yeah, there was no point for the droid whatsoever, other than like I don't know. I was just like that could have been, scrapped. But
yeah, and I was thinking, well, I mean, at the time, I was thinking, okay, well, maybe when you bathe in the waters, you have to literally bathe in the water. So he's going to take off his gear, but he doesn't. He wades in there and he took off his cape and his jetpack, but then he was still suited up head to toe, which again, for his religion makes sense. You don't take off your helmet. So I don't know. There was just some little weird things that I hope in one way or another kind of get explained later on as to why it had to be like that. I don't know if it will be, but the droid thing hit me as weird. And then I just have a lot of questions about the droid thingy that attacked him. The Diet Grievous.
Yeah, the Diet Grievous.
Because like it was siphoning his blood. Is that what it was doing?
That seems to be what was happening.
He was like a spider without being a spider. Is what it was.
And I mean, and like, and we could see the eye. There was something organic inside of it. So I mean, I get it, but like, I got questions.
It's like an alien iron lung.
Yeah, like Bo-Katan better drop some knowledge next episode after he recovers from his Mythosaur encounter or whatever.
Yeah,
just like, oh, by the way, what the heck was that? And it was just, oh, it's something. Like that would be enough for me.
Or at least like, I know, right? I've never seen anything like that. Yeah.
Man, please acknowledge how weird that was.
Right.
Yeah.
So speaking of Bo-Katan, I want to bring up the comparisons between the way Din uses the saber versus how she uses it. Because she's actually a lot more nimble with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a pretty cool contrast.
It is. When he uses it, it's very heavy.
Yeah.
He has difficulty picking it up. And I feel like we talked about that in season 2. Like the armorer discussed that with him, but I don't remember what she said.
I don't know.
It's like a belief thing. You have to believe that you're worthy of wielding it.
Yeah, basically, like the more you think you should have it, the lighter it feels. Which is why old Giancarlo Esposito, he one-handed that thing. Like he didn't even need 2 hands.
Yeah,
because in his head there would be no one more worthy than he. So.
And considering it's a dark saber, I don't think it would matter so much whether or not the confidence to wield it came from conceit, arrogance, or whether it be a negative or positive source. So yeah.
And so yeah, I mean that was because yes, she was very nimble with it.
Yeah,
and she diced that thing up,
which was a good callback because they didn't like I had completely forgotten about that plot point, but as soon as she was wielding it. Or as soon as he started wielding it, I remembered it as a plot point, and nothing had to be said. Yeah. That was a good show don't tell moment.
Yeah,
that was something that had not been discussed in a while, and I was like, "Oh yeah, good callback, nicely done."
Yeah, he struggles with it.
Right.
Our other main characters do not.
And for me, the way I looked at it was like he kind of used it reluctantly. Like
he never wants to use it.
Yeah, he's all about his blaster and doing his other little gadgets. He was like, all right, I got to take this thing out. So it's not like he's going to be that confident in using it.
Yeah. Which is funny because we've seen him use other melee equipment. Like he's used spears and things like that. So it's not a matter of he doesn't know what to do with it.
No, he's been burned
It's just
before,
literally. Yeah. And I mean, he doesn't even want it. Like I hope this kind of wraps up this plot point because like when Bo in season 2 told him about it, he was just kind of like, oh, well, here you go. Like he didn't oh, this is yours here. Like that's fine. Like he didn't care, and that's when she told him, it has to be earned in combat. Like you can't just give it, or it doesn't matter. So I'm hoping that since she picked it up to use it to save him in combat, that means she is now the rightful owner again.
Yeah.
Because it's just I just don't think he wants it. I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
It's just he doesn't feel like it's his and he doesn't want it.
Yeah.
So
speaking of Bo-Katan again, so I like how she is in complete disagreement with how he is still all about the code of the Mandalore, but she's still willing to help him achieve his goals. Like, she's very nice.
I think she admires it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, especially, I mean, think she's lost like everything. Because you got to remember, she was literally the ruler of Mandalore until the Sith, or not the Sith, the Empire attacked and glassed it.
Yeah.
And so she's lost her friends, she's lost her home, she's lost her kingdom, she's lost everything. And I've had that sort of feeling in real life where, like, man, if I was religious, that would probably be comforting right now. And she doesn't have that. She thinks it's a load of hooey. He can lose everything, but he's still got the code. He still has his belief system. He will never truly have lost everything because he has his belief system. So I think in a weird way, she kind of admires that, even though she thinks it's a load of crap.
Yeah.
So plus she's got nothing else going on. So she can help him.
She's a little bored.
And speaking to that, how about the twist that the zealot didn't get to see confirmation of his beliefs, but the denier got to see the mythosaur?
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool twist.
Yeah.
Also, there were like a couple of jump scares in this episode that actually got me. Like when he first arrives on Mandalore and like he finds the helmet in the sand and that thing comes out of the sand, I jumped.
Yeah.
And then when he's in the water and the thing comes and grabs him, I jumped. Like,
I saw the water one coming.
I did too, but I was like, surely they're not going to do it. And then they did it.
Yeah.
And I jumped.
So
let's talk about how.
what was that? Was he just like stepped off a ledge that was not there anymore? Is that what that was?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
I think the whole bottom of that chamber had just fallen.
Okay.
And so he assumed there was another step, and there was not.
Right.
And he just sunk.
We've all done that.
Because he's in armor and he took off his jetpack.
Yeah.
Which, it's good to know jetpacks work underwater.
Yeah, I thought about that. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of jetpacks, was anyone else concerned when he just stepped off that ledge with Grogu, but then he actually like had his jetpack?
No.
No.
Okay.
No, I have wondered about-
He seems like
no.
He seems like someone who knows what he's doing.
Yeah, that seemed logical.
I did wonder about Gogru's pod.
Grogu?
Grogu? What did I say?
There you go.
Grogu.
Grogu's
It's a weird.
pod.
It's a weird collection of
Baby
stuff.
Yoda, yes.
Yeah.
Because my concept was that was like some sort of artificial, anti-gravity thing. And so, that like keeps it at a certain level above the ground, but there was no ground when they're falling. So my thought was, why is that not free falling at this point? That was my thought. I'm like,
Maybe it just slowly falls.
That's what it did, essentially.
But yeah,
I'm like, why didn't it free fall?
But it was going to keep falling until it cinches the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Just saying.
It's Star Wars.
You're right. You're right. Science fantasy. Got to remember that.
There you go.
Right.
It worked because it needed to.
Mm-hmm.
Mythosaurs are bigger than I thought they were.
Like,
so I mean, it's the skull, the Mandalorian skull that everyone's familiar with, like that symbol. That is a mythosaur's skull. And every time we've seen it, I mean, we all thought it was big, but like big like Captain America's shield,
not like
big like
Godzilla,
the space shuttle.
Right.
Like they're huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Wasn't he like this? Her body length was the size of the eyeball or something like that? Or
like
the size of the eyeball.
Massive.
Yes.
Yeah. And I watched it on the projector, so it was appropriately terrifying to scale. Same thing as like when remember House of the Dragon, when Homeboy's dragon came down out of the clouds above the same sensation. It's huge.
Yeah, he messed up big time.
Yeah, that's gonna come back in a year too.
Anyway,
all right, let's wrap this up. Using this time to score it to give your final thoughts. So, I think we're going to score this one episodically, like harkening back to how we did Strange New Worlds, and then average everything together. So, on the last episode, on episode 1, Josh gave it a 5, Jason gave it a 5, I gave it a 4, and Christian gave it a 4. So, for episode 2, what are we giving episode 2? Who wants to kick it off?
I'll give it a 4.25. I thought the story was a little messy, and I was like, this is kind of all over the place today. So good concepts. I like where they're going with it, but I didn't feel it was as tight as the other episodes. So I'm going to give it 4.25.
Okay. I'll give it a solid 4. It was a good one, but yeah, I would agree with you. The story was a little messy at times, but yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
I'm going to stick to a 4, especially for being a newbie to the series.
Yeah, have you caught back
season
up yet?
3. No.
Okay.
Well, you've got all this week to do it.
Yeah, I got a lot of TV to watch.
All right, Josh, finish it up.
I will also give it a 4, and my points mirror y'all's. A lot actually happened in this episode when you stop to think about it.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
But it was just kind of a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
Went to the place, did the thing. Went to the place, went to the place, went to the place, went back to the place, went back to the place, went back to the place.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like, it was good. I'm kind of surprised that we actually saw him get into the waters. Like, I kind of assumed that was just going to be something that didn't happen until next episode.
Yeah.
But they did. So I don't know. It was kind of one of those episodes where it either should have been 10 minutes shorter or 20 minutes longer.
Yeah.
So the content is good. The pacing was a little weird. And I think the editing had to be a little weird to match the pacing that they were going for. So technical issues, but it's solid. If I was giving the series a rating, it would still be a 5. But this episode, yeah, it's a 4.
Yeah. So averaging last episode's scores and this episode's scores together, we're still sitting at a 4.28 for season 3 so far of The Mandalorian. So not bad. Not bad at all. Let's move in to our last section where we're going to be discussing The Last of Us, episode 9, and the entire season 1 as a whole. So episode 9, Look for the Light. This, I'll just kick us off. So this was exactly what happened in the game. Pretty much almost shot for shot at times. Like, there was really no deviation whatsoever. And I loved it. We finally got the giraffe moment, the very lighthearted giraffe moment where it was just beautiful. We finally see Ellie opening up after she's very clearly disturbed after what's happened recently. We see Joel trying to
be a dad.
Which is kind of like the polar opposite that we've had from these characters the entire series. Like, typically Ellie's been like the go-getter and he's been the closed off one. They've actually kind of like switched roles in this episode. But they finally get to the Fireflies, and we find out that Ellie has to die in order to produce a cure using her
to possibly
produce a cure. Joel did not take that too lightly, and he kind of lost his mind.
He saw red,
or maybe he saw clearly for the first time in a long time. But yes, he saw red and saved Ellie, tore things up in the process, and they finally got back home after everything settled down. And yeah, so let's just go point by point. Let's kick things off at the very beginning. How are you guys feeling?
There should have been 2 episodes.
Agreed.
Because it's just, I felt like they did everything correctly. They did it too fast. So there should have been an episode that led up to them getting kidnapped by the Fireflies.
Right.
And that should have been a deeper exploration of their new dynamic.
Yes.
That is literally the only complaint pretty much of the entire season that I have, is that they did not, they kind of told instead of showed. Hey, their dynamic is different now. Joel is happy, or he's trying to be supportive. She's a little worried about her place. And and now violence. And that's the end. And so, like, if I had done it, if I had been in charge of it, this episode would have been essentially just a character study between the two of them, how their dynamic is a little different, how they're more open with their affection towards each other, how she is dealing with everything that she's just had to go through. And that's when she could really build up the idea of, you know, after everything we've been through, we really need to be committed to doing this and getting it done, and really driven that point home. And then at the very end, they get kidnapped by the Fireflies. And that's when they say, hey, by the way, you know, we're going to set her up for this surgery or whatever. And then the final episode opens up with Joel realizing what that really means, and then going ham on everybody and wrapping it up the way they wrapped it up. So I just feel like it was too brief.
Yes, I'm going to wholeheartedly agree with that. And I know why it felt too brief. Because if you really think about it, in this series, 9 episodes, we really only saw the Joel and Ellie dynamic, I think, in 6 episodes, because we had the one standoff episode with Bill and Frank, so there was no Joel and Ellie. We had the Ellie standalone episode where there is no Joel.
Correct.
And then we had really the episode where Ellie's trying to save Joel, but he's not really in the episode because he's still unconscious. So really, we only had 6 episodes where we had Joel and Ellie.
I would go even further than that. Then there was the episode where...
The first episode.
Yeah, where they weren't together at all, hardly.
So really, 5 episodes. But in the game, you have to think...
You spent 30 hours.
It was a 15-hour campaign if you played it casually. 20 hours if you like
completionist.
Really 24 hours. So yeah, you spend a lot more time getting to know the characters in the game and seeing the dynamic between Joel and Ellie, which we did not get nearly that much in this show. So a lot of it did feel kind of rushed with the dynamic between them. So by the time we get to the end, the big catalyst of everything that's been building up to, it didn't feel like it packed as much of a punch.
Nope.
Because it was really trying to drive home how much he cares about Ellie now. But
they didn't give us enough time to appreciate that change.
Yes.
Correct.
So I will say this finale kind of did not hit the mark for me. It was still really good. Yeah. I would agree it was still really good, but it was not what I think it could have been if they had just developed the characters a little bit more and gave it some more breathing room, like Josh was saying, maybe one more episode.
Yeah. It should have been a 10-episode season, not a 9-episode season.
Yeah. And this was a writing issue. The directing, everything else, the acting was on point. I think this was definitely a writing issue. One of my bigger complaints in this episode is when they gave an explanation of why Ellie is immune. And while I was watching this, I kind of had a feeling that they made this up for the series.
That is correct.
And and when I checked later on, I was like, this was made up for the series. Like, I think that question didn't need to be answered. It was irrelevant. Like, why?
Yeah, because that's not really what it's about.
Right.
Yeah.
And they spent 5-7 minutes on that they could have spent elsewhere. I mean, again, directed well, really good scene. But
the woman that played Ellie's mom, Ashley Johnson, was actually the voice actor of Ellie in the game.
Right.
So,
which is really cool. Like, I was actually wondering if she was like an older sister, because they look amazingly similar. And I was like, this was good casting for the mom. And how cool is it that it was actually Ellie? Yeah. So that's really cool.
No, but I agree with you. Like, that was a question that didn't need to be answered because it doesn't matter. That's not what the story is about. That's the MacGuffin. That's what sets the story going.
Right.
But the story is about the relationship between Joel and Ellie.
And also they used it. It was kind of like a two things they'd used that scene for. It was to set up why she was immune, but also to create that connection with Marlene, which also didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
Like, Marlene did not need to know who Ellie was.
I like Marlene better as just a calculating, self-important.
Yeah.
But also realize
I'm going to save the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it was kind of set up to be the antithesis of Joel's point of why he didn't want to lose her. Because it was like, like you said, I was about to disagree with you, Josh, but then I was thinking about it. My point aligned with yours. So I'm done.
I wish more people realized that.
People should just listen to Josh more, and all of a sudden you'll just start aligning with his thought processes.
I do agree that the whole thing was rushed in a way, but for me, I look at a lot of the acting and the choices that they made throughout the episode, because he kept bringing up Sarah.
Yeah, he was willing to talk about her now.
He was willing to talk about her, but it was also pushing Ellie to the back through her face,
right?
Through her acting.
Yeah, good catch.
Like, and she was just like, okay, we're just going to keep bringing this up. Cool. Where do I fit into the story? And that's why she got so offended when he was just like, let's pack it up and just go back to Tommy. She was like, are you serious, dog?
Yeah, at that point, he's become only protector. He's not worried about the big picture anymore.
Yeah.
Which he maintains through the end. Well, that was a good catch, Christian. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. You can see that, like, she's down definitely from the last episode, but the fact that he keeps bringing that up and
why are you talking about your other girl, dog?
Yeah. Am I just a side piece now? She dead.
Wow.
But no, so that's a very good point. And it does kind of bring Joel's character arc to a pretty satisfying conclusion, because this entire series, he's been closed off from her. Like, he's been keeping things from Ellie on purpose. Like he did not want to open up because he was not willing to relive what he went through with his actual daughter. But in this episode, we actually finally see him open up that last little bit, and he actually explained how he actually did try to commit suicide. That was like the last little thing he was kind of keeping from her. So
Is that new for the series?
It was kind of new.
Okay.
In the series, he did say he considered suicide, but never acted on it.
In the game.
In the game, sorry.
Okay.
Yes. Right. But in the TV show, he said he actually acted on it, which is how he got the scar in his forehead.
Right.
He was just super bad at it.
Yeah. But no, so I think I really liked the way this episode kind of tied things up, but it was rushed.
It should have either been 2 episodes or an extra long episode like they did at the beginning of the series.
Yeah.
It could have been a feature length episode.
Yeah. Can we go back to the giraffe moment for a second? Because after that giraffe moment, they're having that little conversation about, as Christian was saying, he wants to pack things up and go home. When Ellie says, when this is all said and done, I'll follow you anywhere. Did you guys notice Pedro Pascal's face? It was heartbreaking. Like he was like, oh, she actually cares about me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. And that's where I love the acting in the show. Because it's like between both of them, Bella Ramsey has been hands down probably her best performance. I haven't seen much of her work, but she was
in Game of Thrones.
She put her whole foot.
She was disfigured.
And, yeah, I did too.
I like how that's your go-to phrase. She put her whole foot in that.
and it's just an exaggerated saying that like she did really well. Anyway, what was I saying?
She put her whole
acting.
foot in.
You're talking about the
How
quality of
acting.
acting.
Yes, yeah.
Said so much without saying anything.
Yeah, and like I said throughout the whole episode, you can tell the come togetherness of the two, but also the divide.
Right.
And which like what Josh said, if it could have been 20 minutes longer, people could have picked up on that. And then when Marlene was just like, nah, we got to kill her, that would have hit a little bit harder for me.
Yeah. Like his reaction made sense. I wanted it to hit me harder.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yes, and I thought about why it didn't hit as hard as in the game. Because in the game, we are participants. In this TV show, we are viewers. We are spectators.
Correct. Which means you have to be given more.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think the other disappointing part is that they've been really good about making you hitting your feels.
Yeah.
And it's like they missed it this time.
Arguably at the most important part.
This should have been a hell of a twist.
Just barely
even if you
dropped
knew what was going to happen. This should have been like, what? Yeah. Like, no, you had to be worried with him. And that just didn't happen. So,
yeah. And surprisingly for me, like at the end, when he goes back to just rampage mode, I'm just like annoyed with him rather than feeling like,
really?
Yeah, go save her. Because
I didn't feel that.
Because it like the speed of which we got to that point, it just makes him look like he's being selfish. Rather than just protecting her.
And in that sense, I felt that in the game too.
I was going to say, and that's, I remember the first time I played the game. Again, I mean, you're a participant, but you're a forced participant. You like, that is the objective, is you have to go ham on everyone in the hospital.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember thinking that he's not making the right decision.
He's making the decision that a dad would make.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so.
And the commentary after every episode, the directors and creators and everything will do a little interview. And Craig Mazin, the director, the showrunner, said that this show is about the dark side of love. And that was very obvious in this last episode, where this illustrates...
You will make the wrong decision.
Yes.
For love.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, speaking of that wrong decision, let's talk about the big Rambo scene where Joel goes ham on the entire hospital. Can we talk about the strings, the music that was playing the entire time?
Oh, yeah.
That was a good call.
That was haunting.
That was a good direction on the way to do that.
Yeah. So that was awesome.
Because he's in, well, it's like you said, he's in dad mode.
Yeah.
Like he's not thinking about what he's doing. He's just doing it because
he was
so pulling back on the sounds, but bringing the score, like that's kind of, it leads you into that feeling of that experience. Like he's not going to think about what he did until later.
Yeah.
And that really comes across when he's in the truck with her and she's waking up.
Yeah.
Like he looks kind of shell shocked. It's almost like he wasn't thinking about it until he had to tell her what happened.
Yeah.
And then he for damn certain wasn't going to tell her what actually happened. So, but you get what I mean? Like he kept it together until then.
Yeah.
And that's when he was just kind of like, oh, I did that.
Yeah. Kind of like the Berserker mode in GTA.
Yeah. Just like that.
It's like all the sounds go away and you're just like, ah!
Yeah, the different music choice I would have gone with was Queen's Another One Bites the Dust.
Okay.
No.
Yes.
See, that would be a different tone.
It's a little tonally different.
No, it's like the music that they chose.
Yeah.
It set the tone perfectly
Yeah.
because it was not a happy, uplifting tone. Like, oh yeah, he's going badass.
No.
It was like, oh my god, what is he doing? We're having to watch this. Oh my god.
They're reinforcing this is not the correct decision.
Yeah.
Especially when he catches the guy in the room, he's putting his gun down. You're like, he's going to shoot him anyway.
Yep.
His
And
face
he
did not change. He just went, bap, next room.
No
I
witnesses.
would like to know, I knew of the story. You guys have all played the game. I would like to know somebody who didn't know the story and who hasn't played the game, if this was a twist for them, like how they felt about it. Because
Was it
maybe
for
because,
you?
well, like I said, I knew the story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I knew what was going to happen.
Ask mom and dad. Are they still watching?
Yeah, I don't know if they
Yeah.
watched last night.
Yeah, I'd like maybe
we'll have to
we
check
could-
in with them.
Yeah, maybe we could see. Maybe I don't know. Maybe this could be our first poll on our page or something. Like, did you know? What did you feel? You know, I don't know. I kind of feel like that kind of twist. If we didn't know it, there'd be a. I wonder if we would look at this differently.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, and then the cliffhanger where they're back home, about to get back to Tommy's town, and she questions him, "Hey, are you telling me the entire truth?"
And he doubles down.
And he straight face says, "Yes, I am." And she just sits there for a second in silence. Okay, fade to black. That was it.
Yeah.
Like that's a way to end
yeah,
a series.
From
Yeah.
from the start of the rampage to the end was perfect.
Yeah.
It was literally just that 15 minutes leading up to it that should have been longer and should have been more.
Yeah.
The execution of the rest was perfect. This is not an execution problem. I agree with Jason. I think it was a writing problem.
No.
So,
And for those that have not played the game, this was the entirety of the first game. So we have completed the first game. So anything after this, it's going to be either the second game or a brand new story.
which they've already said they feel like the second game is too much for one season.
So I did actually look it up. The original game, the time to beat the story was 15 hours. The time to beat the game, the story in the second game was actually 24 hours. So it actually is a significantly longer game. So yeah, 2 seasons makes sense. All right, so let's talk about the series as a whole, and then we'll wrap this up. So overall, fantastic. This is how you adapt a video game into a live action medium. You keep the story intact, and you just add some little fluff to make it more live action friendly. But this is how you do a video game story. People take note. Come on, just get it right. This is it. This is how you do it. I will say there are some downsides, like we were just saying with this last episode. It didn't really hit, but it was still great. But I think overall, the big thing, I was kind of waiting to say this because I just wanted to see maybe they'll add it in later episodes. But now that we're done with season 1, I will say I'm a little disappointed that we did not get more of the tense clicker moments, because those were pretty iconic in the game, where you would come across clickers out of nowhere and you have to like hide from them, and it created so much suspense. We only really had one moment of that early in the series.
Yeah, it fell into the Walking Dead thing.
Where there are no zombies?
It turned into no zombies, and it was just all about the people.
And I'm okay with that, because the game was about the people, but also the clicker moments, like the tense.
It quit feeling like a threat.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, I'll agree with you on that. I don't think we had any infected the last 3 episodes. Because again, you don't. One of them was a flashback.
Yeah,
Right.
that didn't count.
That's not a present threat.
Yeah.
Which again makes sense. They're literally in the wilderness. Like it's not densely populated.
Yeah, and it's
But-
almost like they wrote it off because they kept bringing up the fact that they were in Wyoming, and it's such a wide open space that you're not going to see them, quote unquote.
That's literally why their town is there.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know.
Well, you bring this up, and it makes me, every time that I've seen animals, I'm wondering, why are they still there? Like the giraffes. why have not the infected eaten them or infected them? And why are the clickers or infected not around Salt Lake City? If you still have animals around, that seems to be a.
And again, in the game, when you got to that place, there were still some infected and things like that. It was an ongoing threat that you still had to deal with.
Yeah.
The only part of the game that didn't have a ton of infected was the Montana, Wyoming little stretch in the wilderness. And even then, there was a big set piece that had a ton of infected.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
that was a little bit of, I wouldn't call it like a mistake.
No, but something
so much
noticed.
as, yeah, it's
a little bit of a letdown, I think.
Yeah, it's more like just looking back. You could have done something.
Yeah.
There.
Honestly, this should have been 12 episodes. So we could have more of those moments. We could flesh out the dynamic between Joel and Ellie a little bit more. 12 episodes would have been good.
Yeah.
But not like an Obi-Wan Kenobi, we need more or less episodes. It's more like we would just, like, if we wanted to make it perfect, we would need this.
Yeah.
But it's still really damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was still a fair bit of content from the game that they skipped over.
Yeah.
And again, it's pieces that really only work because you were the participant.
Yeah.
And so I get why they skipped it. But I'm just saying, like, I agree with Court. Like, there was enough material you could have made 1, maybe 2 extra episodes. And I think if you had done it towards the end, it would have helped that transition and that impact that we were looking for.
Yeah.
That being said, I still give it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah. Let's get into scores for the entire first season of HBO's The Last of Us. Josh, 5 what's out of 5?
Obviously 5 infected pregnant women out of 5.
Obviously. I mean,
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to go next because I want to make sure no one else uses this one. I'm going to do 5 giraffes out of 5.
You're the only one that was that excited about the drafts.
I was pretty excited about drafts.
I mean, I've seen a giraffe before. It's fine.
They're tall. Ooh.
Yeah.
Christian.
Ooh. 5 back of the head concussions out of 5.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's happened a lot in the past few episodes.
Yeah. Poor Joel. And then Jason.
I'm going to give this 5 spring-loaded knives out of 5.
All right, people. For an entire first season of HBO's The Last of Us, we are at a 5 out of 5. It was next to perfect. Obviously, there were some things we would prefer a little bit different or a little bit better, but overall, this is pretty freaking solid. This was a great show.
Certified fresh.
You can't say that.
I don't think we could say that.
Certified fresh.
Certified nerdy. We need to think certified.
Eat sleep.
Certified.
ESN certified.
There.
Certified yummy because we have eaten.
It's a cerdy nerdy.
I don't like any of these.
You don't like cerdy nerdy?
I kind of like that. Cerdy nerdy.
Cerdy nerdy.
It's cerdy nerdy.
It's going to stick until something else better comes along. All right. So that wraps us up for episode number 48. Don't forget, in 2 weeks, you will be able to see our faces.
And we are so sorry.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that.
That's why I'm letting this beard go.
Right. This is
trying to hide it as much as I can.
Corey's like, we need to go video. We're like,
we got to go video. Got this cool studio. Got to show it off. That's the whole reason we're doing it.
I got these bags under control.
So this week, Shazam! Fury of the Gods comes out. Are we watching that?
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess we should.
See, Corey?
What?
Because I'm still interested to
I
see
mentioned it, and you were like,
yeah.
"Oh, we got to watch it."
Yeah. Yeah, we are. Because if you remember, Shazam is going to lead into the Flash. So
yeah.
I
just like that a recent commercial spoiled a huge cameo in this movie.
I've been avoiding.
I heard about it, but didn't see it.
No.
Shut up.
Jason wants no spoilers.
No spoilers. Yeah, I've been trying really hard to avoid this.
So yeah, be on the lookout for our next episode 49, I guess, where we will be talking about Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
I guess.
Just never really know.
Are we gonna catch up on Picard and talk about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Jason and Josh will be talking about Picard. I'm still way behind, so I won't be talking about it, but I'll be here. I will entertain you guys.
I'm going to
Dwarf
send
is
you
a
guys a
beast.
couple episodes of the Love, Death, and Robots to kind of watch. Not like the entire season, but some single ones I think you guys would like. Maybe we could talk about those too.
Hey, man.
So
Whatever.
If we don't have time, or if we don't have other things to talk about.
Hey, man, whatever.
But okay, all right, whatever.
Other
Ryan,
things coming out. John Wick 4, I think we'll have Andre back for that one. It's actually going to be episode number 50, so maybe he won't be here on that one because we'll be recording that at a weird time.
That's for us.
Whoa.
Yeah, I like how you're protective about that, Kristen. I like that. That is our time. I like it.
Jason still hasn't seen the John Wick
Oh,
movies.
Jason.
I've seen
get on
John
that.
Wick 1 with you guys.
Yeah, he watched that one.
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah, because we sat him down and forced him to.
Yes.
I believe Jason will actually be in person pretty soon with us.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Oh yeah,
April.
the thing.
That's
Yeah.
right. And the Comic-Con. The Comic Expo. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll be at the Huntsville Comic Expo pretty
Comic
soon
and
next
Pop.
month.
Comic and Pop Expo. Yes.
But anyway, let's wrap this thing
Okay.
up. So, Jason, since you were so upset last time,
Was
what
I?
should
I was.
nerds be geeking out on this week?
They should be geeking out on on doing it. Eat, sleep, nerd.
Take it easy, people.